Good evening. Class is in session. I believe this is class 6, so we're going to be doing pages 11 and 12. So we need to read 3 comic books today and take a look at some Craven shit. Because I want to get evened out. I can't stand how we're getting up to page 12, but we're doing Spider-Man 10 and 11. It's weird. It fucks the numerology. Anyway, brought to you by the new Faro's Lounge Kickstarter. The new Mickey Mouse cover is up. I'm not sure if I could show it off without getting in a lot of trouble, so you're going to have to click the link and go to the even my penciler inker said, dude, I think we went a little too far here. But shit happens. All right, let's go. Let's make some fucking comic books. All right, to recap, we have done 10 pages, so after today's class, we will be halfway through comic book script for chapter 1. Our goal is to make 4 chapters at 24 pages each, 4 covers, making for a 100-page graphic novel by going through 100 pages of Spider-Man comic books, kind of blazing through them. Your homework, of course, as your college professor, Professor Francis Kane. Your job, of course, will be your homework is to read the comic books on the reading list. This is how I intend to teach in school. Should some school actually take me. You never know how it is. Class is in session here, doing it our fucking way here at Faro's Lounge. All right. Our first 10 pages, pages 1 and 2, we introduce Spider-Man's parents, scientists, working on a secret soldier super serum. Testing it on specimens, of course, the spider survives. Uncle Ben is Peter's guardian while his parents are working so hard. Aunt May has passed. He's a retired war pilot. The spider bites him. Pages 3 and 4, they take him ice skating. His abilities start to kick in a little bit too much at 8 years old. He crashes into a shack. The parents are walking him home. They have become mugged and accosted by the chameleon. We don't know he's the chameleon yet. He will kill Spider-Man's parents a la Joe Chill Bruce Wayne. 8 years later, we have Peter in high school just kind of being dark on his own. Some bullies fuck with him. He nearly cripples one of the bullies. He decides it is time for him to leave school and go see his life for a little while as a teenager. Uncle Ben supports him to lay low for a little bit after fucking put some kid in a hospital. So Peter goes and travels in a hot air balloon over mountains. He sees some ruins. He works on a farm. He finds himself around the world. Leaves Empire City. Becomes part of a treasure salvage crew. That salvage crew is attacked by pirates. Peter helps fight back. Takes out the bad guys, but unfortunately in the melee, all the good guys are taken out too, so he feels like a failure. He is left for dead. He is sucked into a wind tunnel underneath Atlantis. He is spit out among the savage land. And that is where we catch up to our story, where he washes up along the shore, and what we know is Craven the Hunter will be picking him up, taking him back to his lair in the savage land, where now we will get that Yoda style, or Yoda inspired Dagobah system type training for Peter. By the time we get to 11 and 12 of this comic book, the chapter will be halfway finished. Our goal, of course, by page 24, the end of this particular chapter 1, is we got to get him in this fucking suit. He's got to beat up a couple of bad guys and do that iconic fucking Batman line at the end. Who am I? Who are you? I'm Spider-Man. You know what I mean? We know how this fucking comic book has to end, chapter 1. Got to make it iconic. Got to do it right. Don't just force it just because it's part of the legend, part of the lore. So again, we've laid out a little outline so far. Page 11. Peter will wake up to Craven. Let's remember. Let's always take a look at the previous page. Page 10. Both the ships explode in the ocean. Of course, the salvage ship, and the pirate ship that was capturing it. Peter will be the only survivor. We see him floating unconscious in the ocean. I was no hero. I took out the bad guys, but in the process, I saved no one. I was wasted potential. I kept thinking about what you told me about power and responsibility. But regardless of my involvement, it all ended the same way. Pan out to show Peter being sucked along a current, almost drifting aimlessly along the ocean routes along with sea life. You can have fun with this panel tossing a Submariner or Atlantean Easter eggs. My penciler and me, we worked together a while, so I like to let him have fun. So he's not just boring, drawing boring panels. They get paid for their work, but you get a little passion behind the scripts, you see that little extra effort. All right. The only solace I could find was that I took out the pirates, saving any future excursions from their wrath. So perhaps the next crew that discovered Atlantis would survive to tell the tale. Eventually, we see Peter wash up along a shoreline. It is the shoreline of the savage land. It was that satisfaction that I felt would calm me into the cold hand of death. She spit me out and left me along the shore. I don't know if this will find you, Ben, but if this does, and I don't, I want you to at least know that I took your advice. As Peter lays unconscious, a pair of bare feet squish into the sand. arriving to discover his body. We see Peter's unconscious, strapped to the back of what looks like a prehistoric beast, reminiscent of Maximus and Gladiator being carried away by slavers. I would let fate and faith decide my fortune. It's a Faro line. My little signature line. If you don't like it, fuck your mother. Anyway, now we get to page 11 and 12. What we've laid out doesn't mean we have to stick to the layout. It just puts a little placeholder for you to go home and play with as your homework. Panel 1. Peter will wake up to Craven making a healing brew. Craven will explain his connection to Peter's parents, presenting himself as an ally and mentor. Craven and Peter will have a Yoda-like training montage, so Craven trains Peter, all while observing him as a hunter and hero in training. This will give us a chance to check out the savage land as a Dagobah system-like place. Craven will then explain the secrets of Peter's blood and abilities, when we realize that he is, of course, manipulating Peter and using him. Craven will either explain his connection to the chameleon, or we can reveal that later on Craven will at least at some point explain, or Peter will deduce that Craven needs his blood to continue to thrive and survive, like the blood and venom of weakness. Peter will eventually determine that Craven plans to use him to prolong his own life and powers, as hitters are beginning to fade. Peter will see Craven trying to use him to take out a local tribe, and Peter will turn on Craven. Craven and Peter will brawl in the savage land during a cool King Kong-like stampede. In the ensuing struggle, Peter and Craven will come to the edge of a huge cliff, and they will both go over. Peter will have a chance to save Craven, but Craven will plummet to his death, or he is dead. Peter will see him die. Perhaps either Craven or the chameleon will come back. Chameleon can hate his father and almost demonically thank Peter for killing him, if he is truly dead. Okie dokie. So we have our layout. Let's look at a comic book. We're looking at 3 comic books today. We might peek at some Craven stuff as well. Craven, of course, if you go through the Marvel Unlimited app, you can sort it so they kind of will give you what they have available in the order of his appearances. Obviously, when the movie was coming out, they brought him back. I have not read any of the modern day Craven stuff. I mean, it seems to me, Marvel, like all the other indies like myself, get into a lot more of the cover pushing. I always felt that it seems like it's so much that if you wanted to be a Marvel fan, it seems to be very expensive. And they got a lot of fucking titles. I'm not, the critiques are critiques. I just think it's one of those things where almost wish they would like conglomerate all of it into one manga style giant fucking like comic book / magazine. Have shorter stories from throughout their universe. I feel like they could get a lot more money with advertising. I feel like, push it into 1 or 2 titles. But again, see, I'd love to just put out a monthly magazine with just 8-page stories from like 5 different corners of my comic book universe, as opposed to just the monthly comic books. I feel like we want to change it up a little bit, make it manga style, but like magazine, Maxim, men's magazine. Obviously, Craven fought with the X-Force. Ooh, I like this. Some of the covers are gorgeous, but is the interior art, match it. We got Craven here fighting with Omega Red. That's some pretty badass modern day shit, but again, a lot of it sometimes always feels like covers. The Amazing Spider-Man 79. So they brought Craven back. I like to draw it or write it up more in the classic style because I feel like if you're trying to go after the modern day stuff, I don't know if you're bringing anything fresh into it other than what's already been written recently. But obviously these guys were, of course, inspired by the older stories as well. They got into comics, they did it right. They are legit. I am a crazy psycho son of a bitch who makes his own comic books. But of course, I'm inspired by these. I like these cool 1950s covers, Avengers 1959. I like to keep looping back into the past. X-Men and Spider-Man, Grim Hunt. Getting closer to the old days. Reign, Spider-Man Reign was pretty cool. It was their version of like the Dark Knight Returns Spider-Man. Spider-Man's Tangled Web, Crusher Hogan. So they like to loop around the old days. Spider-Man Blue, the Jeff Loeb series. And I've been in comics for a while now. Hunter and Hunted, going after Beast, when the X-Men Hidden Years. So they liked looping back to Craven a lot whenever they wanted to throw a fucking mutant in the jungle of the Savage Land. But I feel like we get the good Batman Begins idea here. This, of course, was the what if stories. Not what, yeah, we had the what if Craven actually killed Spider-Man. We get, of course, to the classic Craven's Last Hunt, which everybody that's a Craven fan like myself obviously knows. We took a look at the Savage Land here last time. These are Kraven's early appearances, but let's get right to the fucking meat. Before he fights Kraven, this is a two-parter. Oh, fuck your mother. Just gotta do this real quick. Douche. Douche LaRouche. We gotta get to issue, I think it's 108. So again, you get to see all the covers of all the, we're basically going to be working through the first 100 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, whatever we else kind of branch off into. It's another fight with the Chameleon here in page 80 in Amazing Spider-Man 80. We'll get to that again. I want to get to when he goes to the Savage Land, which is right here. The issue before Kraven pops up in Amazing Spider-Man 104. This is a two-parter where, again, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. You know, got Kazar and Zabu. Again, the art was getting kind of really kooky. This is those classic fucking days. Gil Kane, Roy Thomas Wright, and Stan Lee just kind of putting his fucking kibosh on the end part, enjoying his life, enjoying his riches, going to have some fun. It's kind of sad what happened. If you ever go to any of the comic book shows, they have him propped up at one point. He was like Carrie Fisher. I went to take a picture with Carrie Fisher at a convention. She didn't even fucking move. She sat with her dog on this like French couch, Napoleon looking fucking thing. So we just want to get past this beginning part. We're not up to this. This will not be a part of the Spider-Man lore and legend. Because see how Gil Kane would draw the big nostrils? You saw this when he kind of took over. He took over at the point where Spider-Man got the 6 arms and he fought Morbius. Here we go. It happened in Antarctica. This is when they're talking about the Savage Land. I was acting as a guide to two scientists on a geophysical survey on the fringes of an unexplored region. Then one night this colossal thing attacked our camp, destroyed. Then it fled back into the dark, icy wastes. The other two men are still in a coma, but I guess I got lucky. No, I'm no artist, but I've done a sketch of the monster. So all of a sudden, J. Jonah Jameson just decides for my fucking newspaper. But again, we're going to be doing a magazine in our version. Because I fucking love magazines. So J. Jonah Jameson decides here. That's the only monster we've got to lick. By God, we're going to lick it. We'll give some public something they can't glance at between dog food commercials. An in-depth look at the so-called Savage Land. And the real lowdown on what it was that came out of crawling out of there. He's going to basically just make a movie. They just decide, let's just throw the fucking Kazar's Jungle. They know about Kazar. I'm fighting for my life, my paper's life. I'm making that trip. So he's going to do this to save his paper. J. Jonah Jameson is essentially the Donald Trump, the Vince McMahon of the Marvel Universe, which is a great character to be. Peter and fucking Gwen are together. They're dating. He's got a proposition. Talk, man. Keep telling yourself if this wasn't you calling Pete, it'd be Jonah. And at least you plan to give it Pete straight so he can make up his own mind. Antarctica, a lost jungle, all this, and a cash bonus besides. Never mind the dangers, Mr. Robinson. See, I like when Peter was looking like this. He had the turtleneck. That's the way to go in New York City. Jacket over a fucking badass turtleneck. So Peter, we see, is growing into himself. I always kind of hated that when they later on tried to reveal that Peter and Gwen never banged. I mean, for all that fucking bullshit and drama, you're gonna sit there and tell me that Peter and Gwen never fucking banged? They bring Gwen Stacy along. She's gonna be the King Kong fucking hot chick in the bikini. They all decide they're going. I always kind of like this because, again, they start growing the story up. Peter's growing up, so you get some more sexier shots. They get to the Savage Land. I always wanted to see is the Savage. I see me. I have it as a shoreline. We don't necessarily have it in Antarctica. Don't tell me you haven't got them in stock. Get them. I want a pith helmet safari jacket. The works, and I want it today. Or else New York will soon be getting all of its news off men's room walls. The plane trip to Rio is fast and smooth. The voyage by boat from there is, well, blast you, Parker. What do you mean you left my seasick pills in your other pants? But eventually, good and bad alike must end and give way before the vast unknown. You know, this is great writing. This is how we learn to write. Penguin Base 1, dead ahead, Mr. Jameson. Enjoy the fresh frozen brand of hospitality while you can. After that, the next stop, the Savage Land. Welcome, the brass radioed us and said you'd be coming through on the wild goose chase. In order to humor us, huh? Well, that's okay by me. And now if you've got a map of this open-air icebox, after decimating our camp, this creature stalked off in this direction. Tell me, Mr. Jameson, hasn't it occurred to you that it might be a fraud or just plain loony? Kalk and I got a multi-million-dollar business at stake in this little venture, and at this stage I can't afford to even consider that possibility. So again, we're reading this to know what we want to write. Thanks for that, my friend, because that devil was real, all right. And I only hope that moment that never comes when I wish it hadn't been. Then the last lift off from the last outpost of civilization, a final refueling and tightening of breaths, in a land whose stark beauty beggars description, a land where white, not black, is the color of death. Hours pass, the helicopter reaches the limits of its fuel, its point of no return, and then, white upon white, a gleaming ivory wall of mist suddenly looming before the human copter of like a milky shroud. It is only a whiplash wind, a freakish updraft which makes the craft shudder momentarily before plunging into that mist, or is it something more? This is kind of fun. I love this issue. I can't see a thing up ahead, Mr. Cole. This was the first time I even knew the fucking Savage Land existed. So a lot of people, especially the people that were only reading Spider-Man, this was our introduction to the Savage Land. That hidden jungle we're looking for, Mr. I think we're here. Oh, you get the big fucking pterodactyl. Oh, the memories that are awakened by that swooping pterosaur careening away from the buzzing steel gnat, which has startled it. For Colk in the memory of a raised camp, two comrades all but dismembered. For Jameson, the day he first faced Kazar's snarling saber tooth. But the young, being young, have fewer memories. So Pete and Gwyn can merely react and then accept. This is a great fucking writer. Roy Thomas, my hat's off. As if there were perhaps some subtle cosmic affinity between the very young and the awesomely, I'm fucking stoned. Ancient. All right. Take care of business today. Get into your outfit, young lady. Outfit? What? I saved that for a surprise, Pete. Oh, we're gonna get fucking Gwen Stacy in the bikini. Oh, hell yeah. I mean, look, it ain't the modern day drawings where we're gonna have the Jose Vari's boobs and butts. But it's a start. So they're making a movie. And then all of a sudden, God. Never mind that just start earning your pay. It's just some kind of overgrown auto. It's a statue like King Kong. I've been thinking, why track down a man killer like Mr. Culkin's monster? Wouldn't a series of Hidden Jungle be just as good? It's been done, son. Anybody here recall the name of the second guy to fly the Atlantic? Besides, we hope to photograph that behemoth without us seeing us. That will clear my name and sell your newspapers. Live magazine in the first landmark issue of Astonishing Tales. See, I love when they do the fucking call outs. Oh, how I miss ye Marvel Universe. I look forward to just being an old man just reading comic books. I hope. It's not have to work anywhere. You just said the magic word, mister. Say I'll bet my old pal Kazar built this thing, gong and all. And here come the native monsters, like King Kong. So again, stories inspired by other stories. The lizard idol itself, it represents something to them, and they're sure they should come any closer. Doesn't look like Kazar, but if that jungle man didn't build it, then who did? Obviously, these natives. Get your pistol out, lads. See, Peter wants to use his spider powers. This is when this shit annoys me, because Peter should just say, look, guys, I'm fucking Spider-Man. We gotta fuck shit up. He's gonna run off into the jungle and just so happen to show up as fucking Spider-Man. He's gotta turn into Spider-Man without them seeing him as fucking Spider. And now a vision to freeze the blood and turn the knees to limpid jelly. A roar that is not a roar, but a thunderous cry. An inhuman outpouring of rage and hatred in a tongue no human ear could decipher or long endure. Mouths open to scream, to give voice, any voice, to the fear that claws from within, yet no words will be those trembling lips until. See, this is why you write a second script. Because we're going to add all this shit when we get the art back from Amy. And then we get the colors from my man Brian. And before he does the lettering, I tell him that we add another script. Because you got to have cool shit like this. This is what makes comic books the art form. Grabs Gwen Stacy. See, now, what I hate here is Peter has to look like a pussy. Okay, but he grabs onto Gog. Gog knocks him unconscious. Peter goes flying into the fucking jungle. The river down below. So this is going to help us because, again, we got some cool romancing the stone shit. The monster's gone. We've got to get down to find the boy. No, he'd want us to go after Gwen. And maybe it wasn't ever much of, remember, I wasn't much of a boss. But with your help, I can make it as an Avenger. Oh, I like that. Good old fucking a gnat. Peter's all pissed off. He's getting chased around. So, of course, we love this shit. He's got his Spider Man costume with him. He's got to go after Gog. And then you may cease those innocent gruntings, Gog. And you, young lady, your screams. Both the savages and the intruders have been left far behind. Your friend is here now, Gog. Your friend, Craven, the hunter. Because you are more appealing than they say, Miss Stacy, or may I call you Gwen? With Gog's help, I'm carving out a kingdom down here. Oh, I love it. And what a good a kingdom without a queen. Oh, it's a Craven. How does she not fucking cave and say, oh, well, Craven, you're pretty fucking hot. And while the full impact of that little bon mot sinks in. You know what? I'm reading this today. I'm in a good mood. This makes you help reappreciate the really good run that fucking Roy Thomas and Gil Kane did on the Amazing Spider-Man. The tracks lead that way, Mr. Jameson. So, and we branch off, read other comic books. Careful, sir. Anything might lie in waiting here. There's a story this way, Culkin. A story and a helpless girl. Nothing's gonna stop me from finding both of them. And I mean nothing, Sabretooth. Kazar! I wish you'd be somewhere around here, old buddy. Fact is, I was just running off to find you. Yes, do not waste words, Jonah Jameson. Why are you in Kazar's hidden jungle? So, of course, Kazar is going to help lead the way. Kazar is going to brawl with fucking Craven. Spider Man's going after Gwen. He's getting chased by gigantic serpents. We'll need all this when Spider Man's trying to escape. Most days I'd be glad to hassle with you for a while. But the girl I love is somewhere in danger of her life. So I'll just have to play dirty pool. And hope there isn't a local chapter of the SPCA in the vicinity. There's a lot in what you say, pal. Put that in writing to your congressman. All right, so Spider Man's fucking with a snake. Chasing after the girl he loves. He's cracking wise. He's having a good fucking time out here. And that monster still has Gwen. It's a more immediate problem. How do I cross this stream that thing just waded through? I could try swimming, but considering what might lie beneath the water, forget it. As long as there are tough saplings like this one around, I could always airmail myself across. Spider-Man flings himself across. He's got to go fight the day. He's got to go save his chick. Quicksand! It's pulling me down like some starving animal. Can't even latch onto a limb at the same time. Wall crawler, you've had it. Continue next issue. So we're really, in essence, we're kind of using these two issues today. We used this in one of our previous classes, just giving a quick little run through. These two issues. When I take some screen captures, is what you would use to send to your. You would be sending this to your artist for reference shots. The Savage Land, the jungle. We got Craven here. I like this, just like spaceships. I mean, you can have a lot of fun. Because remember, you're making your own universe. You don't have to trap yourself in it. It has to look like New York. It has to be Antarctica. Again, we calling New York in our story the Empire City. You know, like they had the across the Spider Verse. We're writing our own alternate Spider-Man, the AracKnight. Wherever it came from, it must have attempted to land here and touch down in a swamp instead. So again, what do we have here in our script? Peter will wake up to Craven. So we have Craven taking Spider-Man away, put him on the back of an animal. We need Peter to wake up from this little nightmare. I will let fate and faith decide my fortune. Peter wakes up in a cold sweat. He is underneath a net over a hut bed. There is a fire in the distance as there is a muscular Shadow. No, not a muscular shadow. No, I like the muscular shadow because Craven should say, "You're awake," you know. Peter wakes up in a cold sweat. He is underneath a net over a hut bed. There's a fire in the distance as there is a muscular shadow. So we're going to play around here. Our goal is to get through Amazing Spider-Man 10, 11, and 12. Oh, you telling me I gotta fucking refresh this stupid fucking thing. Thank you. That's all we gotta do. All right, good. In Amazing Spider-Man 10, again, we're going back to the beginning here. Spider-Man took on the Enforcers. This was the big man that ended up being Frederick Foswell. We're kind of ripping through here for some Spider-Man lore and legend. Spider-Man kind of comes leaping in here to fuck some shit up. The Enforcers are kind of cool when you break them back into the old kind of 60s lore and legend. You know, they show this big man's one step ahead of Spider-Man, another good chess player, was anticipating moves, so he has like some poison gas shot in Spider-Man's face, fucks him all up, embarrasses him. The big man has that cool Humphrey Bogart type mask. He's rolling in on all these mobsters. I don't know if we can keep ripping off the whole mobster thing because the Joker kind of did a great thing with that in the Dark Knight, where he just kind of fucking took out every mobster in the story and said, "No, Gotham City needs villains like me, like the Riddler. Fuck mobsters, they're boring." You look at what the Batman did, what Matt Reeves did. He kind of made Batman back to street level. Essentially, that's a crime, killer movie that just fucking happens to have Batman in it. I always said if you're gonna do Batman, Spider Man, like Fantastic Four, shit like that, make the universe itself a comic book. You don't have to go so crazy, campy over the top. I always thought if you can give me a more serious Flash Gordon, that's the perfect comic book universe. That's what we're out here to do. The Enforcers are brought in. Fancy Dan is the judo expert. He fucks everybody up. Entitled to wear the coveted black belt. Ox is just another big strong man. Montana, of course, has got the fucking lasso of doom, the lasso of truth. He puts the lasso on you, and everyone fucking agrees that they what they love jerking off to. Flash and Liz. So the idea is that Liz Allen brings Flash along to come see Aunt May. Aunt May needs a transfusion. Peter Parker starts panicking because he's like, shit, I'm gonna end up giving her my fucking spider blood. So they all think he's a coward, but he's like, look, Aunt May, how the fuck you doing? I'm sorry, I fucking love you. Go to Florida, get the fuck out of town for a little while. The big man's crime wave goes through. They pick up a fucking train off the goddamn rails. Pooling their financial resources, the city's criminals spare no expense in battling law and order. So the idea is you could do those cool old school like prohibition, 1940s Tommy gun kind of Dick Tracy type scenes if you want to do a montage of Spider-Man fucking shit up. Again, for our notes section, Montana, of course, the lasso one, you could have these three stooges who end up being like the chameleons gang of thugs, like his Bond henchmen. So we don't dismiss this issue just yet. We like to go through it because, again, going through Spider-Man lore and legend. The enforcers, stay back. I like the idea of the old school crime stuff. They don't just put in as filler, you weave it into this universe. You explain a universe that can have modern day technology and lights and giant towers, but not fucking cell phones. Or just maybe these people are just too fucking happy in their real lives, be living their cell phone lives. Anyway, mobsters are afraid to talk. Mobsters are going down. J. Jonah Jameson. Another arrest, I see. Bah! It's a waste of time bringing in such small fish. Spider-Man is the one you must be going after. He must be mixed up in all this somehow. See, great comic books are about the dialogue. It's not just about the cool art. You can't just always have one word answers. That's why I said we write two scripts, the art script, and then the script after the art. Jameson, of course, has been torturing his guy Foswell. And if you go out on a limb in the way you did last month when you claimed he was Electro, and you turn out wrong again, people will lose confidence in our paper. Well, you should know that the media kept fucking up all the way up to 2025, and they always get forgiven. So a bunch of thugs are fucking with Betty Brant. Peter Parker's got to come along, but of course he can't be Spider-Man, which I always kind of hate sometimes. I wish he would just kick ass as Peter Parker. But again, it's comic book lore and legend. He can't let people know because then he's afraid people will just fucking kill Betty or kill J. Jonah Jameson all the fucking time. I get it. This is why I wouldn't make a good fucking superhero, because I would always be telling people I was a superhero. I wouldn't even, I'd be Bruce Wayne, I'd be just saying I'm fucking Batman all the time. I'd be introducing myself as fucking Batman. So again, we go into the crime wave, the big giant spider. He holds people upside down on fucking buildings. I gotta figure we could have one scene where he captures one of these bad guys and kind of webs him upside down like a spider web to kind of fuck with him and make him think he was gonna eat his blood. You always, I love that line from Batman '89. When Robert Wool, the reporter character, is it true what they say about a commissioner? They say he drinks blood. And he's talking to the corrupt cop. You know, Eckhart, think about the future. Spider-Man, of course, fights with the enforcers. They fuck him up the first time. He's got to do the Rocky montage, learn how to fight back and fuck them up. He realizes J. Jonah Jameson is hiring somebody to go after and find out who he is. Foswell finally admits that he's the big man. Peter lures them out. See, this is what I like. Spider-Man's telling everybody in school that he knows who he is. Yeah, well, you'll sing a different tune when I tell my theory to the police and get a big fat reward for helping to nab him. You mean to say you figured out who the big man is? No, nobody else has? You're nuts, Parker. Maybe old Bookworm Parker did figure out the big man's identity. He's a whiz on puzzles and stuff like that. Oh, if you ask me, Puny Parker's just showing off like he always tries to do. Flash, what are you hiding around corners for? Keep your voice down and listen, you nut. Haven't you more sense than to go yapping how you're going to blow the whistle on the big man? Your life won't be worth the nickel if the enforcers find out. Thanks for warning me, fella. I didn't know you cared. The old man rats on Peter. The enforcers now come and capture Peter, put him in the car. So again, you could have fun if you wanted to give the chameleon, if he is our villain, who we're using right now, we're introducing Craven. We're playing around with our villains. Whether we kill Craven here or Craven survives, the point is Craven is the training now. Craven is Henry Ducard. We're up to that Batman Begins point in our script. Peter's got to get some training. I don't like it that he's just going to go back to fucking Empire City after going on the road for a couple of years. And then he's just going to come back to Empire City and be fucking Spider-Man. You need some growing pains. They grab Peter, they throw him in the back of the car, they fuck with him. He wants this. Here we are, Bright Eyes. They tell him that Betty Brant, we all know the story of Betty Brant. Betty Brant's brother's a loser and a fucking deadbeat and a jerk off. We're going to get through all that here. We're not going to be involving Betty Brant and her brother. Unless it's interesting. We can throw Betty Brant's fucking brother in there. Spider-Man's fight. I always love this part where Spider-Man jumps into a car, kicks all the fucking suicide doors open, fucks everybody up. He's jumping around. He's jumping on fucking barrels. He's fucking with everybody. He's doing the fucking Spider-Man thing. He's throwing barrels into people. He's shooting them. They're throwing fucking tires at him. He's jumping through the fucking tires. He's jumping through the fucking tires. He's swinging on fucking maces. He's fucking up Montana. He's fucking up Fancy Dan. He's knocking his hat off. He's fingering his asshole. He's taking pictures of everything. He's throwing up the spider signal. The cops are coming. He's fucking everybody up for the cops. They come on in. The big man's trying to shoot at him. He chases down the big man. He pulls the fucking mask off. He says, "You're dead. Fuck you. I hate you." Of course, the big man is revealed to be Frederick Foswell. He hates J. Jonah Jameson. He wants to shoot and fucking kill him. Foswell's eventually. Oh, see, this was the big moment, though. This was that big moment where J. Jonah Jameson has that monologue, so we have to read it. He admits it. It's Foswell. I never even suspected. Some big brain I am. I not only have the proportionate strength of a spider, I'm just as dumb. Spider-Man thought Jonah was the big man. Even though you're a big man, Spider-Man wasn't even in league with you, wasn't he? Admit it. If he was, I'll be a laughing stock again. Bah! I'll worry about it all the way to jail. Am I always to be thwarted, embarrassed, frustrated by Spider-Man? I hate that costume freak more than I've ever hated anyone before. I'll never be contented while he's free. All my life I've been interested in only one thing, making money. And yet Spider-Man risks his life day after day with no thought of reward. If a man like him is good, is a hero, then what am I? I can never respect myself while he lives. Spider-Man represents everything that I'm not. He's brave, powerful, and unselfish. The truth is, I envy him. I, J. Jonah Jameson, millionaire, man of the world, civic leader. I give everything I own to be that man he is. But I can never climb to his level. So all that remains for me is to try to tear him down, because heaven help me, I'm jealous of him. He had the lasso of truth on him. Aunt May's doing good in Florida. He's all worried about Betty Brant. Why do I have to go through this alone? And so we leave our friends dangling in a web far more powerful than any which Spider-Man could weave. The mysterious, dramatic web of fate. Next issue, we will meet a great new villain. Find more spectacular thrills as Spider-Man discovers the strange secret of Betty Brant. The spider's web. As we dance along the Marvel Universe. John Favreau. You often wonder if this is the same John Favreau, but I think John spells it Jon, so you never know. This could have been a young John Favreau in 1964 writing to Marvel. Oh, one could wonder. Again, it's kind of fun when you think about being a kid in the 60s. If you had the money or the allowance, or you had a part time job, running to the store to get the next Sergeant Fury, the next X-Men. After I'm done writing this Spider-Man comic book and I send it off to the penciler, I'm going to take a break and just read all. I want to just read all the shit that I'd be caught up to. Try to read it all in like a cool order. You never know. We'll see. Fantastic Four, Marvel. Now again, we're going to jump one issue ahead in our syllabus. So technically, we read an issue, write a page. But let's get to the page, and then we'll get through Amazing Spider-Man 11 and 12 here. We don't need to look at any more of the Craven stuff. Well, maybe we do. We'll keep that open for now. Keep it open for now. It is no rush. Brought to you by the new Faro's Lounge Kickstarter. Let's put this on here. The Savage Land. He's lost to Kazar. Again, if you want to do side homework, they're showing you right here. Astonishing Tales, #2. It's basically Craven's adventures in the Savage Lands. They have established that Craven has been living in the Savage Land for a while. So he's kind of out there hiding because there's got to be a reason he's out here. He's out here. Craven is out here to replenish. He's been here for a while. He can't seem to grow the roots. He's failed. Peter wakes up in a cold sweat. He's underneath a net over a hut bed. There's a fire in the distance as there is a muscular shadow. Craven. He wouldn't say, "Oh, you're awake." We need some poetry in here. Rest easy, boy. Rest easy, boy. Peter wakes up in a cold sweat. He's underneath a net over a hut bed. You have an enhanced healing. You have enhanced healing capabilities. But even a mutant. But even a mutant. Rest easy, boy. You have enhanced healing capabilities. But even a mutant would need time to expel that much water. But even a mutant would need time to expel that much water. Would need time. You have enhanced healing capabilities. But even a mutant would need time to expel that much water. All right. Coming into the shot out of the shadows, we see Craven the Hunter. We see Sergei Kravenov, aka Craven the Hunter. He is in all of his classic regalia, the animal head, vest, the sacred bone necklace around his neck, around his sacred bone necklace, dangling over a large nest of graying chest hair. He looks like Sean Connery in Highlander. He is a strong but aging warrior, a knight of old. Rest easy, boy. You have enhanced healing capabilities, but even a mutant would need time to expel that much water. To the classic, where am I? Where am I? Savage Land. See, I can't rip off that fucking that long, wonderful paragraph they had in here. We need to create our own. You can't just say the Savage Land. You are in you are in a land beyond the scope of geography. You are in a land beyond the scope of geography. As you were caught in an Atlantean tunnel. I can tell you where you are. Yeah. Think Sean Connery walking into this fucking shot, just being all fucking Sean Connery, you know? He could talk like Sean Connery. I always love when I'm writing dialogue, I'll walk around the fucking apartment just talking as these characters because you want it to make sense. You don't just want to throw words onto a fucking page. You know, Peter, of course, is going to run to that class. You know, where the fuck am I? You know, where am I? You were in a land beyond the scope of geography, as you were caught in an Atlantean tunnel. Atlantean tunnel, that's kind of cheesy. You were in a land beyond the scope of geography, past the waves, past the waves that crushed Atlantis. You were in a land beyond the scope of geography, past the waves that crushed Atlantis. You are in a savage land. I just like him to turn around going, you're pretty fucking far from Empire City. You were in a land beyond the scope of geography, past the waves that crushed Atlantis. You were in the savage land. But the rules of Empire City, but the rules of Empire City, you are in the savage land. Fuck it, just have him call it. You are in the savage land. The rules of Empire City, fucking stuttering now. But the rules of Empire City can still apply. Craven kind of walks in. Peter, you know me? You know where I'm from? All right. Craven. Craven approaches the bed and gives Peter a large mug filled with a steaming brew. Without hesitation, Peter gulps down the brew. You know me? You know where I'm from? We've never met formally, but I knew your parents. I knew your parents. We never met formally, but I provided specimens for their research. I am responsible for your birth, Peter. I mean, does Craven know who he is? Craven's been hunting him. Yes. Fuck yes. Craven's been hunting him. I knew your parents. We've never met formally, but I provided the specimens for their research. I am responsible for your birth, Peter. Peter will strike back with, which means you're responsible for their death. Which means you're responsible for their death. Now, Peter's not going to ask him right here because Peter just woke up from a fucking coma. But at some point, we got to get here in the notes. I don't know if we're going to do it in these 2 pages. We could. Let's get this in the notes here for page 11. Page 12. Get it in the fucking notes here for page 12. At some point, Craven will reveal that he has been hunting. Oh, we're having fucking fun right now. He's has been hunting Peter for some time, observing him. Craven will let it slip that he led the pirates to Peter and is responsible for the deaths of the salvage crew, claiming them as casualties of war. I like that. I like it so much. Craven's a hunter. We needed him to have a fucking hunt. It can't just be coincidence. Peter washes up on his fucking shore. I knew your parents. We never met formally, but I provided the specimens for their research. I am responsible for your birth, Peter, which means you're responsible for their death, Mr. Kravenov. Mr. Kravenov. Sergei Kravenov. I am a hunter. I am a hunter. Close up on Peter, not wasting any time. Close up on Peter, not wasting any time. As he is staring up at Craven. Peter, you know who pulled the trigger? Close up on Peter, not wasting any time as he is staring up at Craven. Do you know who pulled the trigger? I have theories. I have theories. But the trigger man means nothing. But the trigger man is one piece. But the trigger man is but one coil. You want the head of the snake, the serpent. I have theories, but the trigger man is but one coil. You want the head of the serpent. No, but the trigger man is but one claw. Ooh, yeah. But the trigger man is but one claw. You want the head of the serpent. And that I can help you with. Close up on Peter, not wasting any time as he is staring up at Craven. Do you know who pulled the trigger? I have theories, but the trigger man is but one claw. You want the head of the serpent. And that I can help you with. Peter, of course, have the kindness of your own heart, I assume. Out of the kindness of your own heart, out of the kindness of your own heart, I assume. Out of the kindness of your own heart, I assume. What's this going to cost me? Craven's got to play it cool. He can't confront Peter. He knows he's annoyed. He just did save his life. I have theories, but the trigger man is but one claw. You want the head of the serpent. And that I could help you with. Out of the kindness of your own heart, I assume. What's this going to cost me, Craven? What's this going to cost me, Kravenov? Peter even just woke up. He's annoyed. He knows this guy's trying to get something out of him. Craven, playing it cool, walks out of the hut and to Craven playing it cool walks out of the hut and to the entrance of his hideout, ignoring Peter. Craven, I see a series of failures. It's left you cynical. I like the idea of Craven's an old knight, so we need something here. Well, Craven's like, yeah, I'm an old fucking knight like you. I see a series of failures that left you cynical, laced in negative cloud. What makes a knight, Peter, is not banners. What makes a knight, Peter, is not the banners. What makes a knight, Peter, is not the banners. It's not the trophies. What makes a knight, Peter, is not the banners. It's not the trophies or the kills. What the fuck is it then? You can't always do the melodramatic being a knight. What's the answer? What drives Craven the Hunter? Why does he want to keep living? Craven, playing it cool, walks out of the hut into the entrance of his hideout, ignoring Peter. What makes a knight, Peter, is not the banners, it's not the trophies or the kills. You know what? I'm gonna have some fun here. I'm gonna have some fun here because Craven's gotta have a personality. I see a series of failures has left you cynical, laced in negative cloud. What makes a knight, Peter, is not the banners, it's not the trophies or the kills, not the maidens or the voyages. Peter will strike back with, ignoring Peter as he follows out of bed behind him, laced in negative cloud. What makes a knight, Peter, is not the banners, it's not the trophies or the kills, it's not the maidens or the voyages. Then what is it? Peter will run out towards the exit to confront Craven. He nearly stops short and falls overboard as we pan out to show Craven's gorgeous jungle. Jungle what? Jungle. I went to Thailand on my honeymoon. And we stayed in like this jungle fucking luxurious Four Seasons jungle hut. Gorgeous Four Seasons savage land like jungle cabin. Fuck would it be called? Jungle Cabin Lounge. As we show he is living well as a makeshift king in the savage land. We're kind of going to reveal that's all like a fraud. He's living big to be like a big shot, but he's aging. He's dying. He doesn't want to die. He's afraid of dying. Then finally he wants to decide how he dies. He wants to die in combat. Laced in negative cloud. What makes a knight, Peter, is not the banners. It's not the trophies or the kills. It's not the maidens or the voyages. Then what is it? Peter will run out there. It's like Peter runs out to kind of confront Kramer. He's like, holy shit. And he'll show that he's living in a fucking villa. That's what we're calling it. Jungle Cabin Lounge Villa. Does he show he's living well? He was a makeshift king in the savage land. Then what is it? Peter will say. And Craven will reply, I lied. It's all of it. Boom. Page 11. Ladies and gentlemen, we're making art. We're making comic books. I fucking love that. Now, again, yours may be different than mine. This is how it's laid out for the class. You want to feel free to go along your own path. Just showing you how I do it my way. All right. We got one page to go here for today's class. Let's get through these next two comic books. Well, at least let's get through Amazing Spider-Man 11. We're keeping this Craven shit up just because. Hushka, hushka, bushka. I realize the next thing I have to do for my Pixie Runner comic book is I have to make an animated movie or an animated trailer. I got to learn how to do that. That's my sober project. That's the project I'll have to do. Get the hell off weed for a little while. We write with cannabis. I love doing it. It's my favorite thing in the world. But the next move, I have 6 issues of Pixie Runner. We're putting out Pixie Runner 6 comic book next month. And I realized the next step isn't the next chapter of Pixie Runner. I got to make those 6 chapters of Pixie Runner into a movie. So again, we set goals, new evolutionary ladders for our comic books. is to get to that next step. I go to so many conventions and I'm seeing less more comic book characters. I'm seeing more anime characters. I'm getting more requests for anime characters. So you got to go with the times. Spider-Man, of course, misses Betty Brant. He finds out that Dr. Octopus is being let out of jail. This is a classic story. Dr. Octopus is kind of like a thug for hire, and he's taking a job for a local gangster, Bennett Brown, going off to Philadelphia to help a gangster escape out of prison. It's an old school, and again, it's what made Spider-Man more fun, is that he did a lot of street level shit. Blackie Gaxton. His lawyer, Bobby Brant, whatever the fuck his name is, he's kind of like a gambler and a loser. He gets Betty in trouble. So Betty's all pissed off. Peter's like, you know what? I'm gonna go down to Philly and fucking hang out, you know. And I love when Peter goes on the road because it's like, wow, Peter's going around the country, you know. Peter tracks down Betty Brant. Together, they're gonna fucking hang out and watch what Doctor Octopus is doing. This is a wonderful story about Peter and fucking Doctor Rock. It's like you look at prize fights, you look at wrestling matches, wrestling cards as a kid. This is essentially a rematch of Peter Parker versus Doctor Octopus in a great fight involving all these fucking guys getting involved, thugs and gangsters and hot secretaries from the 50s and 60s, and Spider-Man whipping some ass, and a fucking brother who can't fucking stop with the bookies and gets himself into trouble, and a wayward bullet catches up, and she's pissed off at Spider-Man for getting involved, even though he's trying to save the day, but maybe inadvertently got the fucking loser gambler killed so that he can't come back to fucking destroy Betty's life when he wants to get married or get drunk at Betty and Ned's fucking wedding and be that kind of asshole. He's a burden. He's a piece of shit. Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus fight all over a fucking ship going into the Philly harbor. The gangsters try to escape with the money. Dr. Octopus beats the living shit out of them. He's getting away with the money. They're fighting on boats, people. They're fighting on boats. It's a fucking awesome story. It is literally them taking their feud on the road. Spider-Man versus Dr. Octopus in the Philadelphia Spectrum, ladies and gentlemen. He has to walk away because Betty Brant hates his fucking guts. What I'm going to do is when I get to the end of this particular comic book, I'm going to read all the Marvel stories that get us up to this point so that I'm all caught up. They introduced the new issue of Daredevil. You see, they're giving the rub. The rub. They're introducing Daredevil into the comic book universe. They're telling you about Fantastic Four, where the Thing is going to battle the Hulk again, like wrestling. Battle for the Ages, great art of monsters brawling. Strange tale with X-Men, Iceman fighting the Human Torch. Fire versus ice. Thor. Oh, an appearance by the Enchantress. We have not drawn the Enchantress yet. I have to read more Thor, and then we'll be able to do like a cool Slave Leia Enchantress with a frozen Thor. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to. Well, see, why do we read these comic books? To get ourselves interesting commissions. As a matter of fact, it's time to get that one going. See, we pull something out of every one of our issues. I have a new commission I'm going to do. Slave Leia Enchantress. I'm going to use the Marvel card. Frozen Thor. It's got to be done. Oh, fucking love. We come up with new commissions in class. Sergeant Fury #6. Ladies and gentlemen, Amazing Spider-Man #12. We're going to do one more issue. And as we finish the issue, of course, we'll have our notes. We'll have our story to write. We'll keep looking through Craven. Unmasked by Dr. Octopus. What we have here is after their big brawl in Philly, these guys go on the road and come back to New York. They come back to New York to brawl again. Dr. Octopus escapes from Spider-Man. I love it. Dr. Ock and Spider-Man, brutal enemies. We're gonna have Dr. Octopus in a cameo at the end here. Let's get our notes page up. At the end, we put all the notes in the end of stuff we use or don't use in our script. Okay. Dr. Octopus. We're gonna call him Dr. Octopussy. We're gonna fucking make him a good-looking dude. We're gonna ham it up a little bit. Is the leader of the Sinister Six or the Spectre, whatever name we give it, to change it up and make it our secret organization. Dr. Octopussy. Craven could have been a member. And, of course, we can make an allusion to an OCD type thing where there can only be 6 because of the number. And it could play into some of the characterization. Characterization. In the end, we'll show Dr. Octopus, Pussy, with either the vial of formula that was lost in the sewer, or with something vital so he can have the last laugh in the final panel of our story, of our graphic novel, where Spider-Man has taken out both the chameleon and Craven. Dr. Octopussy will say, there is now an opening in the 6. Boom. Octopussy ring. Sinister laugh. Cask of cognac. Boom. Ha 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 ha. Boom. Oh, I love it. See? Our notes section. See? We got an enchantress. I mean, literally, Iago, when he's done with the current piece he's working on, I'm going to move him to Slave Leia Enchantress and Frozen Thor. We have to start a new Slave Leia book because those Slave Leia books make money. All right, so let's once we are done with page 12, what I love is we are halfway done with chapter 1. See, 2 pages a day, you write a comic book in fucking 2 weeks, man. A fortnight, motherfucker, a fortnight. Page 12. So where do we leave it? Peter is run out. He sees, holy shit, Craven, you're living in a fucking palace, man. Now I'm impressed. So now we cut. Cut to a montage of Peter training with Craven, a la Yoda, and Luke in the Dagobah system. We see Peter swinging through the jungle past prehistoric beasts and baboons that swing past him and among him. Craven watches from the distance. Craven watches and Quages watches from his perch as he is mentoring Peter. All right, so we're laying our page out. We're laying out our page. Cut to a montage of Peter training with Craven, a la Yoda, and Luke in the Dagobah system. We see Peter swinging through the jungle past prehistoric beasts and baboons that swing past him and among him. Craven watches from his perch as he is mentoring Peter. We see Peter. He can't really design. He doesn't have scientific equipment, so he can't design his web shooters. That's when he gets home. When he's swinging, he's on a fucking vine. You know? The jungle like Tarzan. We see Peter. We have to save them sitting over a fire. We see Peter and Craven in hand-to-hand combat, wrestling over a large log over creek as they train in wrestling. Really cool montage. Need a montage. See Peter and Craven in hand-to-hand combat, wrestling over a large log over a creek as they train in wrestling. We see them both hanging upside down in a hunter-like vampire position as they are meditating and stalking. We show a close-up of Peter hanging off a large, curved, concave cliff as he is hanging by one finger and balancing himself against the large distance below him. Like, this could be a cool revealing moment. Get some cool exposition here. Craven could tell him about a war coming, controls, power. We get some cool exposition about the universe they're living in. Balancing himself against a large distance below him. I like that. Peter's kind of hanging 10. He's kind of just hanging by one finger, balancing himself. He's literally just holding himself up by one finger. He's getting stronger. He's getting a little bit of his wise ass back, you know? You see Peter and Craven over a boiling cauldron. Not yet. That's panel 6. We see Craven. Take that for a second. It's getting hot. We see Craven showing Peter how to make a small explosion of powder and fire. Almost like an uncle and nephew working on a chemistry, a science experiment. Boom. Gotta show some mentoring here, some almost fatherly like shit. So that Peter is kind of really let down. This guy fucks him over. So again, we have our notes here. We're going to move these notes to page 13. Because Craven's got to let Peter down here, but not yet. So our notes for page 13 are notes for page 12. We've moved for tomorrow. We got to finish the mentoring here. Okay. We finish with Peter and Craven sitting over a boiling cauldron over a fire. Over a steaming fire. We get some reveal here. And we can do a dark reveal and just say, look, I got those pirates to come and kill your fucking friends. Craven can misinterpret and think Peter's ready to be his fucking soldier, you know? Cut to a montage of Peter training with Craven, a la Yoda and Luke in Dagobah system. We see Peter swinging through the jungle like Tarzan past prehistoric beasts and baboons that swing past him and among him. Craven watches from his perch as he is mentoring Peter. Narration. Finally, found a class worthy of my attention. I finally found a class worthy of my attention. And a teacher who has taken an interest. I mean, you can have your letterer write this in letter format or journal format. This could be his journal, the AracKnight Journal, the Chronicles of the AracKnight. Who the fuck knows, you know? I finally found a class worthy of my attention and a teacher who has taken an interest. I'm finding a way to harness my gifts. And I'm getting a great workout. Boom. So get your humor in there, your lightheartedness. We see Peter and Craven in hand-to-hand combat, wrestling over a large log over a creek as they train in wrestling. I've learned that beyond the benefits of technology, there is nature and instinct. I've learned that beyond the benefits of technology and science, or is it science and technology? Does that sound better? Yeah. I've learned that beyond the benefits of science and technology, there is nature and instinct. Learning how to use both power and gravity. Learning learning how to use, learning how to use both power and gravity, becoming its master. Learning how to use both power and gravity, and then we see him hanging upside down in a hunter-like vampire position as they are meditating and stalking, and becoming its master. I like that. A little arrogant, but it's master. He's mastering power and gravity. I've learned that beyond the benefits of science and technology, there is nature and instinct. Learning how to use both power and gravity, and becoming its master. Peter can start asking some questions here. This man, this mentor, he knows who killed my parents. Whatever, whatever spider sense is telling me he knows. Whatever spider sense is telling me he knows, I know it wasn't him. But there is a connection. don't know how to ask without ending this adventure. Boom! This man, this mentor, he knows who killed my parents. Whatever spider sense is telling me he knows, I know it wasn't him. That there is a connection. I don't know how to ask. I don't know how to ask. I don't know how to ask. So he's literally admitting he's enjoying himself. It's like Bodhi and fucking Keanu Reeves in fucking Point Break. But he knows if he fucking asks the next question, this fucking ride is over. It's no more Space Mountain. Without ending this adventure, we show a close up of Peter hanging off a large curved concave cliff, as he is hanging by one finger and balancing himself against the large distance below him. I see the world differently now. It's perspective. He's hanging by one finger off this concave cliff. Conclave cliff! Say that 3 times fast. I see the world differently now. From a point of privilege. I see the world differently now. From a point of privilege. Call you after, buddy. I see the world differently now from a point of privilege. A close up of Peter hanging off a large curved concave cliff, as he's hanging by one finger and balancing himself against the large distance below him. I see the world differently now from a point of privilege because he's hanging. He sees like now he can fucking hang from a cliff by his finger. He's like, all right, dude, I got gifts, I got skills. I see the world differently now from a point of privilege. Point of privilege. I stop. Hmm. I see the world differently now from a point of privilege. I stop seeing darkness in the distance. And I think about hope. I see the world differently now from a point of privilege. I stop seeing darkness in the distance and I think about hope. Coming back. See, I don't know if you should get this reflection yet, or you should get it after fucking with Craven. You show a close up of Peter hanging off a large curved concave cliff, as he's hanging by one finger and balancing himself against the large distance below him. I see the world differently now from a point of privilege. Kravinov calls me a lost knight. I see the world differently now from a point of privilege. Kravinov calls me a lost knight. But I still don't know what war. Kravinov calls me a lost knight. While I enjoy the term, I still don't know. I Still don't know what war he's fighting for. Fighting for. I see the world differently now, from a point of privilege. Kravenov calls me a lost knight, and while I enjoy the term, I still don't know what war he's fighting for. Boom! Poetry! Again, these are script placeholders if you don't like it. Put your own shit in. We're going to add shit as we get the art script. I always repeat that so that you know it. If you feel insecure about your writing, Fraser Crane. All right, we see Craven showing Peter how to make a small explosion of powder and fire, almost like an uncle and nephew working on a science experiment. Peter's essentially at summer camp. We could do a little exposition here. Craven spoke of an oncoming war between gods and kings. Craven spoke of an oncoming war between gods and kings. Craven spoke of an oncoming war between gods and kings, with men and monsters caught in the middle. Caught in the middle and used as chess pieces. Craven spoke of an oncoming war between gods and kings, with men and monsters caught in the middle and used as chess pieces. He said, my parents were casualties in that war. I like that. Craven spoke of an oncoming war between gods and kings, with men and monsters caught in the middle and used as chess pieces. Where? Where men and monsters would be caught in the middle, used as chess pieces. He said my parents were casualties in that war. He finished with Peter and Craven sitting over a boiling cauldron over a steaming fire. Peter finally comes out and asks, killed my parents, Kravenov. Craven's got to dance around it first. We finish with Peter and Craven sitting over a boiling cauldron over a steaming fire. Peter finally comes out and asks, who killed my parents, Kravenov? You know, Peter. Peter. Empire City left the Union. Empire City left the Union, became its own free, independent kingdom. You know, Peter, when Empire City left the Union, It became its own free, independent kingdom. The rest of the nation fell into civil war. Wiped out, wiped out half of the population. When Empire City left the Union and became its own free, independent kingdom, the rest of the nation fell into civil war, wiped out half of the population. Those that survived were forced to brave the urban jungle that remained. Those that survived were forced to brave the urban jungle that remained. Oh, I love this shit. You're picturing Sean fucking Connery, like AI shit. Sean Connery, fucking Highlander, the fucking vest, the fucking hairy James Bond chest. You know, Peter, when Empire City left the Union and became its own free, independent kingdom, the rest of the nation fell into civil war, wiped out half the population. Those that survived were forced to brave the urban jungle that remained. So where's he going with this? Those that survived were forced to brave the urban jungle that remained. So where are we going with this? All right, let's look to the rest of this comic book for some inspiration. We have to end this panel. Those that survived were forced to brave the urban jungle that remained. So we have to finish this monologue. See if you can collect anything from the rematch of Spider-Man versus Doc Ock, which gets us to the end of issue 12, which gets us all balanced out. 12 issues, 12 pages in our comic book. Graphic novel. So Jonah can't hold on to his secretary because they all hate him. Betty Brant is back. He's happy. All is right in their world, but Dr. Rock is escaping via helicopter. He's robbing banks. He's fucking shit up because he's being Dr. Rock, but he's pissed. It's still in his head how Spider-Man kicked the living shit out of him. Spider-Man then says, you know what? I gotta go fuck some shit up. He's bothering me. I'll talk to you later. All right, so he remembers Betty Brant and the brother, Benson Brant, fucking Bennett Brant, whatever the fuck his name was. He's dead now. She's all happy again, doing her thing. She's like, look, I love my brother, but he's a gambling shithead. He's constantly in trouble and he's a jerk off. He dates his ugly chicks and strippers. He's always got the wrong fucking horse. He never helps me. He's just better off doing what he's got to do. Dr. Octopus is fucking everybody up. I'm pretty sure Peter's got a flu because I think in this issue it's kind of cheesy. He goes to fight with Dr. Octopus, but he does not feel good. Dr. Octopus fucks him up, takes his mask off, but nobody believes that it's Peter is actually Spider-Man because he was kicked his ass way too easy. So of course Peter's gonna reveal later on. He goes, "Look, I was dressing up as Spider-Man to kind of just fucking, I was just doing it to get the pictures. Get the pictures, get the papers, get the papers." He wakes up. This is kind of this story like this feels like a lot of filler. Liz Allen, she's impressed that he fucking did it. That was kind of ballsy, so she's yelling at fucking Flash now. If you're gonna draw a hot little Bond girl, maybe we work Liz Allen in here, but they're all still in high school, so you can't really go here. Unless you're making like a dirty porno movie and you got fucking chicks having a slumber party dressed up in pajamas. So Dr. Octopus is here. He lets all the animals out of the zoo. Again, I don't like when animals get hurt. So I gotta say I'm not a fan of this one. The only real good part is after he gets the animals back, none of them are dead, but I can't see that happening. Again, this feels like a filler issue. I like the fight they had on the fucking docks and the boats so much better. It gets interesting when they kind of just crash into some fucking artist loft here. They climb up the fucking tower. He's pissed off. He goes, "Look, dude, you're fucking swimming me around here. You're getting loose of your fucking stupid wires and your things." They fight along the rooftops a little bit. He falls into a fucking shaft, pulls him into. I know they fight in this one into like an artist loft. This is an artist loft. The scaffold just snapped. See, I got, and I think there's all that primer and paint, so it all burns up. So whoever this artist is gonna be fucking pissed because I can't see this artist having all this insurance and all this crazy shit. Or it's like a museum storage room. He gets the fucking web cartridges in there. He makes the flame-proof shoes. He swings out. Everybody, of course, thinks, oh no, he's not dead. They just get him out of there. They stick his ass in jail. Why do they let him out of jail? See, because it's liberal fucking New York. Peter made some fucking money. I didn't like this issue. I don't like when animals get hurt. So now we are done reading Spider-Man. When we come back tomorrow's class, will be pages 13 and 14. So we'll have issues 13 and 14. And whatever little side missions we also think of as well. Now, again, we need a good way to end this monologue and then this class is. Oh, shit. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. Loving that fucking number chimes up. Chime up number. Good shit. Up to 16.5. That's a good fucking day. All right. That's what we needed. All right. The rest of the nation fell into civil war. Wiped out half the population. It's kind of a Thanos reference. Those that survived were forced to brave the urban jungle that remained. But not every soldier, but not every knight was as gifted as us. Those that survived were forced to brave the urban jungle that remained, but not every knight was as gifted as us. So we don't have to say what year the Civil War was. We just throw a line in here like Civil War. Kravenov, how old are you? Civil War. Kravenov, how old are you? Old enough to know there's a war coming. There's another war coming. Old enough to know there's another war coming. And if you're not prepared, if you're not prepared, you will be a slave like everyone else. If you're not prepared, you will be a slave to your masters. Old enough to know there's another war coming. And if you're not prepared, you will be a slave. So choose your place, Peter. Among the men or among the masses. Hmm. Civil War. Kravenov, how old are you? Old enough to know there's another war coming. And if you're not prepared, you will be a slave. So choose your place, Peter. Among the men or among the masses. I'm going to throw another panel in here real quick. I want a cool end line. Panel 7. Close up on Craven. The fire reflecting in his eyes make an almost demonic image as Craven stares down at Peter. Among the men or among the masses. And if you're not prepared, you will be a slave. So choose your place, Peter. Among the men or among the masses. Close upon Craven, the fire reflecting in his eyes, so Peter will ask, who's the war with? The war with whom? Who is the war with? Who is the enemy, Kravenov? Craven will look him right in the eyes and say, death. Craven doesn't want to die. Very simple. He wants to harvest Peter and keep going. Literally, page 13 and 14 is going to be Craven revealing his plan to Peter, saying that training him was also his way of observing him and finding a weakness. Craven revealing his plan to Peter, saying that training was also his way of observing and finding a weakness. He will either blackmail him or force him via serum or hypnosis to harvest his blood and venom. Something demonic and spider or cult related, where Peter will have to escape one more time. We have it here. Craven's going to reveal he led the pirates. So page 13 is Craven revealing his plan. Craven and Peter battle over the morality and cross the lines of their beliefs. Craven will challenge Peter by saying he has no one to protect. Empire City brushed off his parents' deaths, and they were never avenged. Peter's guilt is his weakness. Peter will have to get over his guilt to beat Craven and move on. Craven, well, this is page 13, so we got to do 14. I want to change it a little bit because I can't just do the stampede thing again because I did it in Faro. I can't just keep ripping that shit off. I wanted to use it in the Spider-Man script, but I used it in the Faro script because I didn't get to use it in the fucking Spider-Man script. So I got to do something different. Craven will hunt Peter in the classic style. Bond villain style. Peter will use what Craven has taught him and defeat him. Craven will die here decisively or an air of mystery. So when Chameleon reappears, he will fuck with Peter, who saw Craven die. We must give Craven a good death, a knight's death. battle with Craven will leave Peter satisfied with some form of closure on his parents' death, and now he will get a lead, perhaps from a dying Craven, who won't tell Peter that Dmitri is his son. He will just give him the name. You can have it as code. Tell me, Craven. You know the knight's code. You speak of a knight's code. Then honor it. Tell me his name. Dmitri. Craven will either die or will plummet as the branch breaks and he falls to his death, snapping his neck against a rock. Need the death to look decisive, or perhaps somewhat mysterious. There we go. Pages 13 and 14, we're now going to kill Craven. Craven's going to reveal that he's been hunting Spider-Man for a while, Peter for a while, that he led to the deaths of that salvage crew, which is going to change Peter's, of course, his opinion. Craven's going to tell him he's a soldier in an army fighting against death and mortality. Peter will realize this guy's a fucking weirdo. This guy's a fucking freak. They're going to fight. We're going to get rid of the stampede scene. Maybe get rid of the dissection scene. I don't know what I'm doing here. I know we have to get it so that Peter and Craven have to become at odds. They have to fight. Peter's got to kill Craven. You know, I like that idea of saying, come on, you call yourself a knight. If we're truly knights, if I'm a knight and you're a knight, then give me the fucking, tell me who the fuck murdered my parents. Give me the name. I like that. There's a little bit of code of honor there. So we don't have to rip off Craven's last hunt and have him kill himself. Peter can beat him in battle. Beat him in a hunt. Peter beats Craven in a hunt out of respect right before Craven dies. We'll tell him the name and then die. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just laid out pages 13 and 14. You have your homework. Peace, love, war. Great class today as we go into the second half of our story.